evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Shot Callers, episode 5. Brandon Worth here alongside my co-partner, Joe Nagy. What's happening, Joe?
It's a vibe. It's raining. I'm in my basement. Basement kind of flooding right now, so hopefully it doesn't do too bad, but it's a vibe nonetheless. I'm happy to be on the show, so.
Yeah, that'd be quite an experience, doing a nice sports pod in, pretty much an underground pool. That'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, some water coming up or anything like that would not be fun, but
it would
we'll
not
see what
at all.
happens.
Yeah, for sure. Got a whole docket here on the show, as you can see on the bottom line. Lots of great stuff to talk about. Of course, we have to talk about the NCAA and LI situation, of course. But first, we hop into the NBA Finals. Game 1 in the books. Phoenix taking the dub, 118-105 in the opener. Joe, what did you think about the Suns' opening W?
Suns in 4 maybe. Who knows? Maybe a repeat. But I think they did really good. I definitely don't think that they're gonna go Suns in 4. I know a lot of people are just saying maybe they can do that again for the fan that had the altercation when they played Denver. But I think it's gonna be a good series. I don't know Giannis and that team is gonna lay down lightly. I'm not mistaken. Is Chris Middleton playing or is he injured right now?
He was playing.
He was? Okay. For some reason, I thought I heard someone say he was injured. But those two, that duo, I don't think they're really going to be stepping down to anytime soon. So give it time. They'll probably step it up in Game 2 or Game 3, one of those. But I don't think they're going to get swept. And hopefully this goes to a Game 7 because these two teams, it's been a long time coming, and I'm excited.
Yeah, 100% agree. I would love to see both of these teams in a Game 7. And we saw a lot of that competitiveness. I mean, looking straight up on the stat chart, not a lot of difference. Pretty equal-sided basketball by both sides, offensively and defensively. I honestly, not saying it seems like it's just a turntable. The record's just spinning around every time we come on the show to talk about the Suns. Because I think the difference was Chris Paul in this game. He was the guy that, when in those equal stretches, he was the guy that pulled him through. I mean, he's been that guy time after time, and no matter what situation he's in with this team, no matter what lineup, it just seems like he's the guy, and everybody in the entire arena knows it. And what he does is, the pick and roll game that they have with DeAndre Ayton, absolutely unstoppable. And really, the Bucks should have, hypothetically, an equal match as far as that position to defend that pick and roll. But Chris Paul, his veteran ability and him working with DeAndre Ayton pretty much has given the Bucks real fits, even though on paper it shouldn't make that much fits. I mean, Giannis, he's just big enough as it is. And then you got a great defensive player like PJ Tucker. And really, it's okay, how are they not getting how are they not stopping this? But in the reality, it's just Chris Paul's just playing a little bit better offense than that defense is. And that's really, his 32 points were what really kind of gave this game away a little bit. Now, you could say that the Bucks kind of gave away some shots, some easy ones. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about here. We need to get Giannis some free throw practice this upcoming offseason. But anyway, there's still a lot of series left. I'm really excited. This will certainly not end in 7, not end in 4, but I don't know if it'll end in 7, but we'll get into that in just a minute. But then the following question, I guess, then, Joe, is, are we going to see this series knotted up after Game 2 at 1-1? This is a bounce-back opportunity for the Bucks in Game 2.
No, because Chris Paul's a floor general, and when he has the assets that he does right now with Booker behind him, he has Ayton down in the middle, and then he has Crowder as well, who can kind of be a little force to be reckoned with in the paint. Having all those together, plus Chris Paul's ability to form the team and be the guy that starts them out and kind of gives them the direction of where they need to go, is something that I don't think the Bucks have just yet. Giannis is their captain per se, but he's not a guy I don't think that has the same type of, I guess, gusto as Chris Paul does, who can really step up when it's needed and is more of hey, let's slow the play down, or he tells guys where to go or what to do. I'm sure he does that, but I don't think it's with the same amount of kind of commanding presence that Chris Paul has. So, especially being in the Phoenix, I think it's probably going to go 2-0, but once it goes back to the Bucks and goes back to Milwaukee, I think they'll probably knot it up then. It'll kind of be kind of the back and forth. I think the biggest thing is going to be home court advantage because right now Phoenix is popping. I know Milwaukee's going to try to match that energy as well, but I think as long as Chris Paul is feeling comfortable and as long as he's got the basically the hold on the reins and everyone's healthy, I think Phoenix could take this 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers. I mean, the Suns didn't shoot very well from the outside, not as normal. I mean, Devin Booker, Jamison Crowder combined 1 of 13 from deep. That's not going to get it done as far as
Not good at all.
shooting that consistently. I mean, with this Bucks team, they're very good defensively. They had a little bit of an off night game 1. They let a couple things slip, and I think Mike Budenholzer's going to do a great job of adjusting. We saw that in earlier series against Atlanta, and we saw that even before then against the Brooklyn Nets. So there's going to be adjustments going to be made. I don't question that whatsoever. It's going to be the abilities of how I feel like their offense is going to be contributing. Because, I mean, we know what they can do defensively. We saw them shut down. But we know the Suns are going to be a great offensive team regardless. You're going to have to capitalize on bad nights in a series like this. And that's what I have to see Milwaukee do in order to jump on that train. Because, I mean, Giannis is a all-right offensive player. He's not, I wouldn't consider him elite as far as being able to put the ball in his hands, end of a game, like we saw with Chris Paul, like we see guys with LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, where we can just hand the ball to them and we can
Yeah,
expect a lot of damage at the end of
expect a
ball games.
bucket.
We're not,
Yeah,
yeah, we're not going to
his
see that.
handles are not there. His handles are not there.
No. So like
If you've seen a
that
lot of times where he's on, oh sorry, Brady, go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead, keep going.
Well, if you see him like go up one on one against guys that like he has a chance to kind of do something. He usually just tries to do a few like in and out dribbles and get him to bite, but it's so slow and he doesn't have the crisp movement that he just starts backing up again and then he pushes forward. But there's not any separation in the paint at all, so they all just collapse and then he missed the layup. He might draw a foul, but we've seen his ability, like you said, Brandon, his abilities at the free throw are atrocious. He's not great, and he's taking 15 seconds to shoot a ball anyways from the line. So it's just, he doesn't have that. You're right, Brandon. He does not have that ability to really take over when it's needed.
Yeah, the guy on that team is Middleton. Like he's that guy, and I mean he's taking a lot of shots, and that's, I mean, for good reason. You'd love to get your best offensive player the most touches, but I mean we saw huge games from Brook Lopez. We saw huge games from PJ Tucker, and I think really the most underperforming player in my mind after game 1 was Drew Holiday. I mean, he's a much better offensive player than putting up 10 points. And I mean, 4-14 shooting, Drew Holiday's much better than that. We've seen way better from Drew Holiday. So if he steps up, that defense clamps down, I think we're going to see a little flip of the script. I think it'll still be a close game because Phoenix is coming out red hot still. And if they shoot the ball a little bit remotely better on paper, game 2 should not be close in Phoenix's favor. But obviously,
Yeah.
I think that Coach Budenholzer is going to get them close. But the final question then I guess we need to ask, Joe. I know it's only game 1, and we got a lot of series left. But is this game 1 the ticket to punch for Phoenix holding the Larry O'Brien trophy?
No, it's like you said, it's a little too early, especially like we've seen Milwaukee been able to kind of come back from these situations, and also how they've been able to play in the playoffs. Like they're in the finals, so they're not a slouch team, and they were able to come out of the East, which was surprisingly more competitive than it's been in years past. So I think that this game will kind of reflect how it's gonna go. Bucks might steal maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 and force a game 7, but it'll most likely be maybe 1 or 2 wins for the Bucks, and Phoenix will be able to hold it up and kind of have that really long drought fulfilled again. But I don't think the Bucks are gonna go down lightly. I think this first game is gonna be a indicator of what the Suns can do and can they keep that up, and if they do. Suns in 5 probably, but if they don't, maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, right now, like, I love watching the Suns team play, and it's just for how dynamic that offense moves. They're always in sync. They really have good chemistry. I really like what I see there, and I see some of that with the Bucks too. But that's the consistency on the offensive end is a little bit interesting because I mean the fact is in these type of games, like we're gonna see good defense at points, but when it's you're in the fourth quarter, and I mean relatively in this game, like Milwaukee was like out of it by the third quarter. But if it's in that case of being in the fourth quarter and you're knotted up, like I'm looking at this Suns 5 and I'm looking at the Bucks 5, and like this, like you got to be able to try and keep the Suns off the line as far as in foul trouble or being able to chase them off the line from 3-point range and try to get them inside more because this team has a lot of deadly shooters. I mean, Jamison Crowder, Devin Booker, we mentioned, of course, can light it up. Miles Bridges, Chris Paul, especially, and Cameron Payne and those guys off the bench too. They're no slouches from beyond the arc. So really, like the Bucks really have to do a good job of locking down in the fourth quarter, and they did that a little bit in game one. They outscored them, I believe it was 29-25 or 26, I believe or 26 in the fourth quarter. Like they won the fourth quarter, but in the reality, like they have to be able to stay in striking distance and then hold it down the stretch because we've seen them play good defense early on, let it slip up a little bit, and then the result ends up changing by that time the game's over. So just the consistency. That's really, I think, the only thing. Like the Bucks have so much potential to win a championship. I mean, in reality, I mean, you look at both of these teams. I can find a lot of reasons why the Bucks can win this series, and a lot of it comes down to their size. They have a size advantage, and they should use it. I mean, they beat the Suns on the boards in Game 1 for a reason. This team's big, and they know how to get on the glass and win that gritty style of basketball. But until we get to that style of basketball, where the Suns are still getting open shots, they're still having free reign in the open floor and fast breaks. Until that stops, when we start playing 5-on-5 half-court gritty basketball, like the Suns, I think are going to run away with this one in probably 6 games. I could even make an argument in 5 based on the momentum run and that Giannis isn't 100%. If Giannis goes on the limb at any point in this series, Suns have a really good chance of taking this series, and the Bucks are going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, as long as Bucks, like you said, use that size advantage, bully him down low. Because, I mean, DeAndre Ayton and Jay Crowder can only stand that for so long. Because other than that, I mean, you have Devin Booker, who's, 6'1" to 6'3", Chris Paul, who's, I think, 6', 6'1". If you bully him down low, especially since they have, I mean, I think 4 out of their 5 starters on the Bucks aren't they over 6'5" or 6'6", if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken? So if you just use that size advantage, then there's nothing that you really can't do, especially if you just go to small ball. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, so many teams have won championships doing the small ball, doing the right things, and kind of playing it like that. If you're not shooting well from the outside, move it down on the inside maybe. And I think that's what the Bucks are going to have to recognize is if they're not playing so well, or if one of the things not clicking, go to the thing that is and pound that until you can't do it anymore. And I think as long as they do that, solid chance for them to have some competition in this finals.
Absolutely. So Joe, you got Suns in 5 or in Suns in 6?
I'll say Suns in 6. I
Okay.
think Milwaukee will steal 2.
Okay. I'll be the one guy that'll try to will it to happen. I'll say Suns in 7 because I would love to see 7 games of this because one thing I will point out before we switch over to MLB, like these two coaches have done a fantastic job. Monty Williams and
Oh,
Mike
for sure.
Budenholzer, they've done a fantastic job because I mean we've got so many big market coaches out there that a lot of teams are looking at as far as who are they going to bring in. I mean, we just saw Chauncey Billups going to Portland, who could be a brand new, really, really high billboard kind of a coach. I mean, who wouldn't want Big Shot as their head coach, of course? And there's so many other coaches, Steve Kerr. I mean, talking about Doc Rivers and with what he was doing with the Clippers and now what he's doing with Sixers, current Clippers coach Ty Lue. Like, there's so many big name market coaches out there. And just the fact that these two, a little bit under the radar, climbing their way up the ladder and doing such a great job, really kind of showing that this really has been a fantastic, these two have been really fantastic teams to see develop, especially over time. Because I don't know about you, but I wasn't looking at the Suns necessarily a couple of years ago as finals contenders in a couple
No,
of years. And the
no, no chance.
Bucks were always there, but they just couldn't get the next step up. Now they're finally here. What are they going to do with it? Going to be really interesting. But before we move into MLB, don't forget to check out the Fire Pit on the Fire Pit Torch platform, I should say, with the Ferris State newspaper. Don't forget to check them out on their podcast on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, whatever you get your podcasts on. Really good content.
Always be plugging.
Yeah,
Always
you
be
might
plugging.
you might hear my voice on the sports section, just as a heads up. But anyway,
You cheating on me, Brandon? You cheating
no,
on me
no,
with
no,
sports
no, no,
podcast
no,
right now?
no. Hey, I do
All
work
right.
for the Torch, though, my friend.
I
So
mean,
I
guess you
do have a slight
I guess you do.
obligation. I
guess
promise
you
I.
do.
Hey, I would never cheat on you, my friend. Ever, ever, ever. There
That's
we
for
go.
you, Brandon.
This was a nice romantic moment on air right now. But anyway, Major League Baseball All-Star break coming around the corner. I mean, 4 days. 4 days and we're on the All-Star break. I never thought I'd say it because it's been so long, but we have an All-Star game and a home run derby coming, and we've got a lot of great action. Yeah,
Time.
Joe, for sure. Going into the teams here, for the American League, Salvador Perez, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Marcus Semien sneaking in from the Blue Jays. That one was a little surprise to me. Rafael Devers, Xander Bogaerts, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Teoscar Hernandez, and of course Showtime Ohtani rounding out the American League lineup. That's a pretty stellar team right there as far as I think a lot of them are deserving. For the starters. I mean, obviously, I believe Ohtani needs to be in there. And shout out to Shohei Ohtani, by the way. First player ever to be nominated as both a hitter and a pitcher as far as being in the starting lineup as possibly pitching and hitting. I would love to see that. It's not going to happen, though. He's probably going to play DH and then he maybe come out of the bullpen. But
I'd say just let him pitch the first inning, and then let him come up at maybe at number 4 with a DH, and then let's see what happens, and then maybe take him out the next. I mean, that's what they do anyways. They only do 1 inning for each pitcher usually, or if it's a starting pitcher, they'll maybe let him go 2 or 3. But other than that, it's usually just changes after changes after changes.
Yeah, I think that's definitely fair. I am a little surprised as far as like I said, Marcus Semien a little bit. He's been playing really well, so I will give him that. I think he's deserving of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just really surprised that Jose Altuve didn't get voted in, and I understand I firmly believe Marcus Semien's been playing better baseball. Just the fact that we've seen a lot of the times where the voting hasn't necessarily gone to that. Yeah. It's gone to bigger names. Obviously.
Well, I mean, Mike Trout got in when he's been on the IL for 60, 70 days.
So, yes. So
it's just it's all about the fan base and what they're. I mean, of course, I get it's Mike Trout, but there's a lot of times where players who aren't deserving of it. Didn't Aaron Judge make it a year or two ago or something like that when he was playing absolutely trash baseball, but they just voted him in anyways because he hit so many home runs the year before.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was pretty similar to that.
Voting is a little bit weird.
It is a little bit weird. And like I said, I'm not saying Marcus Semien should not be a starter. I fully believe he should. But the fact that he made it over Altuve surprised me a little bit. Not saying he's not deserving. It surprised me a little bit because we've seen a lot of those things happen where bigger names do to get the 50-50 sway. So very interesting. But pitchers, Garrett Cole, Lance Lynn, Shane Bieber, Ohtani, of course, on that list as well, Nathan Eovaldi, and our very own Gregory Soto. Tigers rise up. What a great time it is to be a Tiger fan. We have an all-star player. Finally again. It's been too long.
Finally.
But National League, Buster Posey, Freddie Freeman, Adam Frazier, Nolan Arenado, Fernando Tatis, who was the largest vote getter by far, and then Ronald Acuna, our fellow Tiger, Nick Castellanos, and also Jesse Winkler, rounding out the National League lineup. Not surprised, I think Tatis got voted in. Would you say, Joe?
Yeah. No, anytime Tatis does anything, MLB just is get that on the Instagram right now. Get that on the Instagram. He does anything. Yeah. But I will say this. I think NL is probably going to take the game. If, I forget who else is like on their reserves and stuff like that, and kind of is going to come in the later innings. But I think it's going to be the first time that the NL wins. I think in a while because AL's been taking it for what like the past like 5 years.
I think the AL's been winning it majority for the last 10 years. I believe they have the higher
Yeah,
record, if I remember correctly. I think this will be a very interesting game just because I
it'll be
think
a lot
there's.
closer, a lot closer.
Oh, yeah, I think it could be closer. It looks like this is kind of a new wave in a way. Like, we've been used to seeing, like, just looking at some of like the all-star players that are on some of these lists that we're normally used to seeing, like a lot of them are on the reserves, not the starters. Like we're seeing a lot of
Yeah,
young wave of talent. I mean, especially with the starters on like the NL side. Like we're seeing these young upstart guys like Tatis, Acuna, um, Jesse Winkler, like a lot of these younger guys that are starting to get up there, and it's not like I mean for the AL it's been kind of the same, but I mean even for the NL like Buster Posey, Freddie Freeman, like we've seen those guys here before, Arenado as well, but like the new guys kind of stepping in, like it's kind of a new wave now because we're seeing guys like Chris Bryant and Mookie Betts on the reserve list is like, whoa, that's wild, like that's insane,
yeah,
but these young guys have been playing super, super good baseball this year. And it's really good rewarding to see because, I mean, frankly, like the new wave is going to come. It's just kind of setting in as a reality. It's like, oh, here it comes.
it's
Like we
here.
never
Yeah,
thought that
like
it'd be the day.
I know it's been so long since like it just seems like yesterday like it was Derek Jeter's last All Star game. You know, like when but that was like 5 6 years or I can't remember. It just seems like yesterday, but it was so long ago. So like it's just now you see these names like Fernando Tatis Jr., who's been coming up, Shohei Ohtani, these guys who are gonna be the new wave of baseball that are gonna be those Derek Jeters to these new fans and these younger fans, and are gonna be growing up and are gonna have many more All Star games to come. It's just crazy to think that the day that so many people had marked on their calendar, where it's just gonna be a new era of baseball and a new era of players coming in is now just upon us. And it's just like weird to think that now about how the players we grew up watching not going to be around as much anymore and the players that, were young when we were starting to get into baseball are the guys who are the veterans now, who are like you said like the Mookie Betts and stuff like that. They're going to be going to the IL or on the reserve list. They're not going to be as much recognition anymore, which is just crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Any snubs that you believe, Joe? I have one in mind, but I'd love to hear who do you believe got snubbed from any of these lists?
Shoot yours first, Brandon. I got to think.
Shoot mine first.
Yeah.
Um, I would definitely argue that Akil Badu should definitely make the list. No, I'm just kidding. I would
Oh,
love to
for
see.
sure.
I'd love to see him on the list just as a Tigers fan. But one name that came up to mind, I would say that I was really surprised it wasn't on the list was Walker Bueller. The dude's been dealing. I think it's just kind of been under the radar with that Dodgers staff having Bauer, Kershaw. Like he's kind of fell into the back of the like he's like not
Yeah.
necessarily like
It's like Porcello back in the day with the Tigers. It's
yeah
like
like
yeah, he was still dealing, but he had so many like big name guys ahead of him that he just like didn't get as much publicity.
yeah, like he's been doing great. I mean, I looked up some of the stats. I mean, 2.35 ERA. He's 8-1 in his. I believe he's had 12 or 13 starts so far. And I mean, this was interesting that I read up 4.59 strikeout to walk ratio. Like that's legit. Like I don't understand exactly how he missed the cut. I mean, then again, like you're looking at a lot of these guys, like um, Jacob Degrom, Hugh Darvish should probably definitely be on there. Corbin Burns has been a really cool story, especially at the beginning of the year when he was absolutely dealing.
For
There's
sure.
like the thing is like we just heard today, like breaking news, da 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 da. If you don't have ESPN, like Jacob Degrom is likely not going to play, let alone possibly not even going to travel to the All Star game. So like the fact is I'm almost wondering like could Walker Bueller be put in a spot there? Not saying like he deserves it over Jacob DeGrom. If that was the no, there's no argument there that there's no way we can put DeGrom underneath of Walker Bueller. But just saying like this kid deserves to be an all-star and the fact he got snubbed, a little disappointing.
Yeah. I'd say one of mine right now is probably Max Scherzer. I know he was kind of pretty deserving on it. I'm pretty sure like he's been he's been the ace for the Nationals ever since he got traded from the Tigers. He's been playing solid this year. I think it's just been the NL is now so loaded with just all-star caliber pitching that I think just because he's getting older, it's not as good. But I mean, he's still dealing. I mean, he's a guy who's been able to come in and like take like just been in control the whole time. So I don't know. He seems to be a guy that really deserves a spot on the All-Star team, but just these new guys coming in and just that stellar NL pitching that we've been seeing so far this year has kind of been able to put him kind of on the back burner. But nonetheless, I think he deserves the spotlight.
Yeah, I could see why that argument was case. I know a lot of his teammates certainly weren't sure how that he didn't make the team, but very interesting to see exactly how that plays out. I mean, it's gonna be really excited though as well with the home run derby. I know we got some spots being filled. It seems like every hour now, for some reason. I guess it's
Yeah,
kind of weird. Like they're announcing like one person at a time, like every 6 hours, and it's kind of driving me crazy because it's like I just want to know the list, and they're not really saying the list, and it's kind of
yeah,
like I just want to know how late, like right away. But instead, it's like, yeah, we're looking at this guy. He might do it, might not. He's considering it. And 2 days later, he's out. Somebody new is in, and you're just like, what? This doesn't make any sense. But I believe all the full bracket has been announced. I was trying to pull it up just now, but my internet has decided to just stop for a second. But I mean, having Juan Soto now going to be joining that list as well as Joey Gallo, I think is going to make it super exciting. Matt Olson, I believe, just committed a couple hours ago to doing it. So he's going to be kind of one of those people where it's like he might do really, really well just based on like he can be very, very hot sometimes. And we've seen that a little ways this year, but we've also seen the consistency. So I think that one will be really interesting. But the field goes with those three guys plus Shohei Ohtani, definitely the biggest name on that list. Pete Alonso, Trevor Story, Trey Mancini, and Salvador Perez. I gotta say that I feel like Joey Gallo might be one of the favorites here. I'd love to see Ohtani win, but I think this is gonna be going down to probably Pete Alonso and Joey Gallo because those guys can just hit bombs.
yeah.
They're just
I don't
the
know if
raw
Ohtani
power is
has the
insane.
stamina. Yeah, I don't know if he has the stamina to go to because he has a great swing. He has such a technical, but will if he makes it to the third, fourth round in the championship round, can he keep that technique up to where he can hit home runs? And I mean, he's not a massive guy like Gallo or Pete Alonso who can literally just throw the bat out with one hand and barely squeak it over the wall, you know? So like it's gonna come down to that where can he keep up that pace? Can he keep up that stamina? Can he just like stay at a steady way throughout the whole time where he won't get too tired? But I think Gallo and Pete Alonso are gonna be the ones to probably come out of it.
Yeah, I could agree with those picks as well. I think it'll be really interesting because we're not seeing like Pete Alonso, Joey Gallo. Those probably the biggest names. Probably could put Salvador Perez in that list. There's no Aaron Judge, Giancarlo in this year's Derby, so it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot different. It seems like the home run Derby's kind of taking a little swing to the next generation, just like of all of
Mm-hmm.
baseball. But just speaking of Shohei Ohtani, I mean the new record that he just set, most single season home runs by a Japanese born player. Believe he's at 32, and we're only to the All Star break. He's still going. He's on
Oh my
track for
gosh,
64. 64 home runs. That's insane
that's for a pitcher.
for a
That's
pitcher.
crazy. That's insane. I cannot imagine being that much of an athlete to where you can just do that. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean the fact like he can step on the field, throw a 7 inning shutout, and then go hit two 3 run bombs. That's like that's
Oh
like
yeah,
the dream.
all
Like
while pumping triple digits.
yeah, like Shohei Ohtani. Like I heard something today. I can't remember who said it, but basically saying that he was basically the next like raw superstar to be tearing up the league since Babe Ruth. And I mean, I think that's a great comparison because Babe Ruth is really the last guy we thought about that could do this type of stuff that Shohei Ohtani's doing, both on the mound and with the bat. And it's just been very exciting to see that. And I think it's merely changing the dynamic of baseball, because we've seen so many guys. I mean, we saw Sean Vendetti like just a couple years ago become the first ambidextrous pitcher, and now it seems like we're seeing that a lot more common. And I think that's going to fully fold over to the Shohei Ohtani effect. We're going to see guys starting to find their way to college teams with their glove and their bat in the dugout. Like, we're going to see those guys trying to do what Shohei Ohtani is doing. And I think that's absolutely phenomenal, just to show the athleticism and what he's doing. I mean, it's super good for baseball, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to see what happens with this. It's gonna be a great all-star. It's gonna be great for a lot of people who are excited to watch baseball. And to have the home run derby and all-star game back too. It's gonna be great.
Absolutely agree. One thing I am super excited about, Joe, and I know we've talked about it a little bit, our Detroit Tigers, are we sleeping on the future 2021 World Series champions right now?
No.
Wow.
We've been playing solid baseball. We've been playing solid baseball lately, but
Yeah, we
mean,
won the month of June.
Yeah, but we still got a long way to go if we want to be able to last against some good teams in late October, if you know what I'm saying. But I don't know. It's Tigers. I love where we're at. We got some solid young talent who are playing really well. Some solid talent who I wish was playing a little bit better. Who had some higher expectations coming into them, but nonetheless, I think give them a couple, like 2 or 3 years, I think we'll be back in the conversation for the AL Central a couple more times. So I like where the Tigers are at. I love the people that we have around us. I love the team right now. But is it this year? Probably not. Next year? Probably not. But the year after that, I'd say we'll be contenders for that pennant for the division. So
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair timeline. I think my line was pretty bold, but like, this is the most shocking thing. We've got a super young team, a super high expectations, but really, like, the expectations have been set high, but like, our prospects are hitting it. Like, we're seeing studs being born in our farm system, and it's super exciting. I know I got to firsthand watch our number one prospect in Torkelson. He hit
me too.
three run bombs when I went to Fifth Third. Well, not Fifth Third anymore. LMCU ballpark.
LMCU.
Yeah.
I went the day before. I went the day before he got called up to Erie. And he
Really.
hit two. I think he had like 6 RBIs and like 2 doubles. It was insane. He
Yeah.
came up. I think we were up like 10-1 at the time, but he came up with 2 men on. It was like the top or bottom of the eighth, so it was gonna be our last time to bat. And it was like everyone was cheering for him and yelling and stuff. And I was just like, it's crazy to see the hype around a guy who it had hype coming into it, lived up to the hype, lived up to the expectations, is climbing up the ranks like pretty fast. Knock on wood. Hopefully nothing happens to him. But to see that and to see everyone getting so excited for the future of our team is so great to see.
I would agree. I mean, this is the crazy thing. Like, right now, we're 40-47. Like, we're 7 games out of 500. This is bonkers. Like, we were projecting a good season, being somewhere around 60 to 70 wins, being an improvement. I mean, right now we're on pace for 80. So, like, that's super exciting. And like, the fact of it is, we're, or hypothetically 80. It's not technically, but you know what I mean. Like, we're in that ballpark of 60 wins was happy, and we're exceeding that already. I mean, obviously we're knocking on wood that nothing changes after the All-Star break, but like, we're not last in our division, because that's what everybody said we were going to be before the end of the season. So take that, insiders. Like, Minnesota, Kansas City, please get out of our way. Cleveland, you're next. Like, that sort of a mentality is what I love to see. But I mean, the reality is, like, this farm system that we've been like trusting our gut with so far it's been looking pretty darn good. And I'm not gonna say like we have the number one farm system. I'm smart enough to know we don't. But right
No.
now, like this is one of the most exciting classes of prospects we've had in a year that I've ever seen, like in my lifetime, as far
Yeah.
as Detroit Tigers
Well,
baseball goes.
Dingler, who was on the Whitecaps too, that got pulled up with Torkelson, he was a surprising add-on. I mean, I didn't know that we picked up him or like what round we picked up him in the draft, but I mean, he came in. I think he was only on the Whitecaps a little bit longer than Torkelson. I think he was like at the end of last year he got pulled up or something, and he had like 8 more home runs than Torkelson did on the Whitecaps, and they both got pulled up to the Seawolves. So like it's very promising. I love where we're at, and hopefully we can keep it going.
Yeah, I mean the fact we have Riley Torkelson, Dylan Dingler, and Riley Green all on a team together, all on the diamond in the same lineup. Whew, very scary stuff. And
Insane.
then we still got it.
Wish I lived in Erie to be honest.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. And I mean, we still got like lower level guys that are in a great position. Like, I mean, we still got Daniel Cabrera, Parker Meadows, Matt Manning. I mean, obviously, he's now been pulled up. Paredes has been pulled up. Like, we've seen these guys in action, and it's been super exciting to see because, I mean, this team is really ready to launch, and I'm gonna be super excited to see where this takes us. Because I mean, in reality, like we've got a good coaching staff now. We're on the right path with AJ Hinch. It seems like. I mean, we're winning more games now, it seems like, using our skills. Like, we've seen a lot of the times where, hypothetically, we'd be in a game against a lower caliber opponent, and it's just kind of like sometimes we just fold over, it seemed like last year. And I mean, obviously, I knew our roster is pretty low and that sort of thing, but AJ Hinch has been doing a pretty good job of putting guys in position. And the one thing that I was really looking forward to looking into, like, the background of AJ Hinch and some of the things that we've done to see what would change, is young guys are getting called up and they're ready to play and they're doing a great job. I mean, we just saw Zach Short putting on a show a couple days ago. Like, he's doing it spectacular.
Great play he made.
Yeah, Castro as well. Like, these guys are stepping up to the plate and they're literally knocking base hits left and right in their first major league appearances. Super fun to see, and I'm super excited about the future of this team because if you're a Tigers fan, I can't anticipate any time that you would not be excited about a team like this because it's been something special. Well, moving on into our last cluster, miscellaneous cluster, you could say, of topics, recent news in the sports world. I know, Joe, you're dying to talk about that lovely golf match last night where Bryson DeChambeau and Aaron Rodgers took down Mr. Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson. Not gonna lie, I had Mickelson and Tom, but I guess you can't win them all, and that's what Tom's learned in the end, I guess.
Yeah, it was all right to watch. There were some times where like both Aaron and Tom had some great shots. I know Tom had like I think like a 380 or like 390 drive or something like that he got like a gracious bounce off of, and it just went insanely far. But other than that, I think that's like the only good thing Tom did, because like we realized like, or like I realized at least from like last time, like he's above average, but he's still not a great golfer, if that makes like,
Mm-hmm.
because like he had some times where like he messed up, and I mean Aaron had it too, but it was just more of a difference of like I, it's just like same thing in competitions. Like who messes up more will probably lose. And you know when Bryson's piping consistently, just like 350, just in massive bombs, and it leaves Aaron with a solid little approach shot or a par five where he can get him close and stuff like that. It's a huge difference when you already have a 30 to 40 yard uh like catch up spot that you got to work for with Phil and Tom. So I don't know. It was a fun thing to watch. It was fun to see Tom lose gracefully. He posted some funny memes with the Brooks and Bryson format about how making memes and trash talk doesn't equivalent to being good at golf, which was pretty funny. But nonetheless, I'm excited to see who they choose next year. But I mean, it was just really good golf from Bryson and Aaron. So.
Yeah, I would like to say that, like, Aaron Rodgers, much better golfer than I was anticipating. Like, the guy was very consistent, and I think that was really kind of the, I guess, the the analysis factor, you could say, that kind of won them is like
Yeah.
Bryson was going for broke off the tee, which everyone expected, right? But like the
Oh
fact
yeah.
is, like,
Pound him.
yeah, like I mean, going for the 500-yard drive, I think it was on hole like 12 or 13 or whatever it was, that long like 770-yard par five. Like you knew that was coming, but like you always could have pretty good faith in Aaron to put it on the fairway regardless of where it was. He did a really good job of
Yeah.
putting it on the fairway, and then you let Bryson get up to the tee and just go for broke and try to get as much yardage as possible. Because I mean, we saw like I know like his strategy is like if you can get up there as close as you can, like it really the lies really don't matter as much. But I think like we saw like consistency kind of won out, and I mean I think there was some times where Phil kind of put a little bit too much faith in Tom's hands, and that kind of backfired on him a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think we still saw very consistent golf from Aaron Rodgers and Bryson DeChambeau, and I think that's what really kind of led him to the title because I think that consistency
Yeah.
won out there at the end.
Yeah, it was funny to kind of just again just hear like the banter between everybody, and even like just like the I forget who was hosting it, but was like asking like Aaron, like, do you think you're gonna be like the quarterback in Green Bay? What's the situation there? He's like, oh, I don't know about that, and it was just like funny to hear everybody. And I'm excited for next year. Not sure who's gonna be getting the call, but I don't know if it'll be Tom and Phil again. We'll see what happens though.
Yeah, it'd be kind of repetitive if they kept using Tom. I heard somebody say
Yeah.
something about you should get who was it? There was one that involved Bill Murray, and I think it was oh, I can't remember. They wanted Bill Murray and somebody,
Brooks?
huh?
Brooks?
Might have been. Yeah, I think it was like I don't want to say it was some I can't remember who it was now, but they wanted Bill Murray involved, and I think there was another comedian in there, and I thought that'd be pretty funny. I vaguely remember them talking about like a Spieth Romo type deal with like Bryson and Brady. I think was the idea, but I think that you would need a little bit of a different matchup as far as that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Tiger go back again. I don't know if he will do it again, but I feel like he like everybody kind of getting what the match was all about in the first round. Like now, I'd love to see some guys go back again and just go at it again because I think it'd be really fun. Especially a guy like Tiger, who of course has an arsenal of trash talk that he can use. Somebody brought up bringing in MJ. I'm all for it because I'd love to see MJ golf
That'll
in an
be
atmosphere like that. Be
I think
awesome.
the trash talk of MJ would just be like
Oh
going at everyone's throats cuz him with trash talk and when there's money on the line and especially golfing, I would just love to see him just go unhinged. Let's see what happens.
yeah, we should get. What if we had LeBron and MJ golfing together to settle the GOAT debate? Like, just completely
That's the real question.
unrelevant.
Who's the better athlete?
Yeah, we need to
That'd be
see who
funny.
golfs better. No, I thought MJ was actually a pretty funny idea. I think that'd be really cool to see that. I think you'd get a lot of ratings from that. Could you imagine Phil and MJ going at each other like this?
It'd be
Like
insane.
that would be bonkers. But we'll have to look
Back and
forward to
forth, that'd
what
be
match
funny.
5 brings because that'll be super exciting.
Yeah.
But moving into NHL, we haven't really talked about Stanley Cup. I was going to talk about it last week, but we had a little flipsy do in the co-host chair between Joe and Travis. But I know you've been following a little bit, Joe. What are your thoughts on this lightning run that we've seen in the Stanley Cup so far?
Should have been the Islanders, man. Should have been the Islanders.
I knew you'd say that.
But I don't know. I don't know. It's Montreal was just. I knew that they weren't going to really put up a huge fight when they came in because I mean they are underdogs. Love the story going right now about how they were literally doubted of making the playoffs halfway through the season, and now they made this big run. They ended up getting getting the game 4 win, extending the season or series. I liked it actually because I wish if Tampa Bay was going to win a Stanley Cup, I'd rather them win in Tampa Bay in front of a packed stadium than win in Montreal with 500 first responders there that don't care if they don't like the Lightning. So I'm glad that they're back in Tampa for this game. I forget, are they playing tonight or are they playing tomorrow? I can't remember. But regardless, I'm excited. I think Lightning will probably take this one. If not, they'll probably take game 6. I don't think it's going to go to a game 7 by any means because Canadians, they're just not matching what the Lightning are bringing to the table. I mean, Kucherov, I think, has 10 points or something like that in these playoffs. He had an insane amount last series. He's one of the guys who really pushed the Lightning over the top for the Islanders. It personally, but nonetheless, he's one of, I think, the best players in the league right now. And there's not really anybody on the Canadians that is matching him. Cole Caulfield has been surprising for them so far, especially just coming out of the draft, getting pulled up so fast and getting put in a in a pressure filled situation. I think he had 4 goals or something like that against or 4 goals or 4 points. I can't remember, against the Golden Knights, but nonetheless, it's just a situation that I don't think Montreal is going to last much longer because the Lightning is just that much better.
Yeah, and I did look up just now, as far as right now that we're recording July 7th, they are live in the second period. I was I wasn't sure as well if it was tonight or last night. It is on right now on NBC. So if you're watching this, I guess this will be coming out a little bit after
I guess if you did watch it,
the game will end. I hope that you watched, I guess is what we'll say, because it sounds like it's a really good game right now, still knotted up at 0-0, but yeah, I agree. I think if the Lightning don't win here, it's going to be easily in 6 because that offensive firepower they've shown, being able to put pucks in the net, has just been something crazy to see. I mean, putting up, what was it, the 8th spot early on in the series, that's hard to come by.
yeah.
I guess, I don't know how the Canadians can go into the locker room and rally themselves together with motivation after getting put an 8th spot on them in the Stanley Cup. That's tough to do.
The Islanders are leaps and bounds better than Canadians. Obviously, it's a biased opinion, but it's basically almost fact. And the Lightning still put up, I think it was if I can remember correctly, it was another 8th spot against us, and I think it was game 2 or 3. So Lightning have what it takes to compete with anybody, and I think Montreal's doing a great job of keeping it close, especially in this game too. But like I said, I don't think that this luck is going to run very much longer for them, and I think this little spout of good hockey is going to end pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, literally, the most ironic thing, breaking news, I guess, on my phone via Bleacher Report, just learned Blues winger Tarashenko is wanting a trade. He wants out of St. Louis, so now another big name free agent now going to be on the market for teams coming up this upcoming season. So yeah, that one's a little surprising, I guess.
I'm not gonna lie, was kind of surprised about that one. I thought Tarasenko was there for the long haul.
Yeah, I guess right now they're trying to facilitate a deal for them, but gonna be interesting now to see where those teams went. I mean, the Blues, really good shape a couple years ago, and now it's just kind of, I don't want to say slowly falling apart, but it's kind of disintegrating slightly. So how they're gonna rebound is gonna be interesting.
Tarasenko at the time wasn't even playing; he was injured during the series, so he didn't even get to play in the Cup. And I don't know, it's that team kind of quickly fell apart as just everybody started to lose, or not lose, but once everybody kind of their contracts started to run up and all that, they're not where they used to be. But with Tarasenko leaving, that just adds to another hole they got to fill if they want to be back to the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to be interesting to see how the NHL is going to, how these teams are going to attack the offseason, especially how we've seen a lot of teams pay a lot of money and coming up a little bit short compared to some other teams. Yeah. I mean, you just mentioned the Canadians. I think a lot of people would have put anybody but the Canadians in this spot against the Lightning in the Stanley Cup final. But going to be very interesting. But into basically our last topic here of the show before our debate, of course, for Collier Schnott. One that we've been talking about a little bit, and that I know a lot of people are probably curious on what, I guess, my personal thoughts are, and I will give them to you in just a minute. But the NCAA changing the NIL. I hate how they use that because it sounds like NOI, which is not the same thing. But anyway, name, image, and likeness is what it stands for. They changed the policy. Now, a lot of NCAA athletes are able to benefit from their name, image, and likeness. I think it was a matter of time, and I think that it's going to make a lot of people happy, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out because it's going to have to be regulated at some point, right?
Yeah. Because, I mean, you could, like, there's a lot of people who like, especially like if this happened when Zion was around, Zion could have been a millionaire in college. RJ Barrett could have been a millionaire. Johnny Manziel could have been a
Oh my
millionaire in
goodness.
college. During that run, I think like you said, it was just the clock was ticking till his colleagues. I think if you remember the destroying case where he monetizes YouTube videos, then he lost his scholarship. I think that's when the fire got lit under the NCAA to change his policy. I know a lot of people are happy now. I'm happy now because it means that a lot of these people who might be D2 athletes or D1 athletes that might not be good enough to make it to the league and make it to that pro status and have sacrificed so much to get to that college spot and might just miss out on that, they can still, make money in college just by, doing endorsements and stuff like that. I am interested to see what they do for like brand deals. You know what I'm saying? If like, just for an example, like if you like some like if Ferris athlete signed with like Nike or like if like and we're like an Under Armour school, like what are they gonna do with that stuff if that ever comes up or if that's kind of an issue? But I wonder, like with that type of stuff, what they're gonna do with it. But I think it's a great thing, especially. But I'm more curious to hear, like, what are you thinking about it, Brandon?
Yeah, so like I know a lot of people probably know that I have a little bit of mixed feelings on the subject because just from the fact of what college is about obviously does not reflect of this, but obviously an organization taking money away from somebody using their pretty much their identity is obviously wrong as well. So like there's times where I have a couple of different things that I like on both sides, but at the end of the day, like this benefits so many athletes, and I think it was really kind of, and I say a matter of time because the idea of how social marketing has benefited so much, and I mean just the fact of how many people like we're talking about the high school overtime league that's now been taking place. That's basically kind of jumping over the NCAA because everybody was saying, you know what, you're taking away from me. No, no, you're not. I'm going a different route, and you can't stop me, kind of a thing. And we've
Yeah.
seen all these different right? I guess you can't really say rebellious leagues, but you know what I mean. Like all these leagues that are against the NCAA, and they want to try to give like people the opportunity to take a different route in life, not necessarily go to college and not necessarily play college basketball, go straight to a different league, make some money, and then develop yourself to go straight to the NBA, which sometimes might be a better option for some people, might not be for others. But the end of the day, like I guess the personal bit that I will point out is the fact that like a lot of these like athletes are like some of them want to make money out of other places that not necessarily involve what they're doing with the NCAA. Like for example, like there's some people that want to make like they want to do something as far as like make some sort of show like a podcast or whatever, like kind of like what I'm doing, and some of them won't, like they can't get paid even though like in reality they might be a college football player and their show's about books or something. And just the fact that like the NCAA can,
Not even related to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they can make them related even though it's not, because they're saying they're listening because he's an athlete, but it's like book reading, like like there's
Yeah.
just some
There's
things
no
that don't line
correlation
up.
to it, but I don't know. The NCAA has just been I just feel like it's been a organization that uh, I wouldn't say corrupt by any means, but has just been or like they just needed to change a lot of the things that they've been doing for so many years, and I think that this is kind of in the a good in the right direction of it. I mean, this was like has been a debate for so long. I mean, I think it's been I think it got a huge spark when NCAA football went down, and so many people were up in arms about it. So that means we're gonna get NCAA college football back, obviously, but that's what I'm excited about. But it's like now you can have people who, I mean, because college athletes, they have no time to make money in college. Like, especially talking to you, Brandon, about your schedule, it's like, it's wake up, workout, class, eat, go to academics and stuff like that, work out again, or like practice or something, eat, and then go to bed, and then just repeat the same thing. When can you fit in a job other than the summer? It's like you, especially like if like you're not on scholarship and you can't like commute to school, how are you gonna pay rent? Especially if your parents can't help you, how are you gonna pay rent? It's like it makes so like at least now you have a chance to be able to make money after like this. You have a chance to make a few extra bucks on the side, kind of give you a little bit more freedom while you're in while you're in college and able to kind of have some, I guess, either have some fun or help out with your financial difficulties that you're experiencing if you have the opportunity that brings to you where you can make a solid amount of money off your likeness.
Yeah, like there's tons of positives and negatives with along, and I think like that point I think is one that is kind of important. Like for like athletes, I think a lot of them or a lot of people don't realize how much people put time in their craft as far as athletics go, especially like college athletes. I mean, you could even really expand it to like football players and basketball players in general, which are pretty much the main two as far as consideration and media attention with them, because like the fact is like some of these D1 programs they have like I mean if you guys haven't seen day in the life videos of these guys, like it's legit, like they're lifting twice a day, practice once a day, they're trying to tackle 9 to 12 credits a semester, and what do you got in between? Like that's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And I mean for a lot of these, I mean I'm glad you brought it up for like just the ability to support themselves, because I like college costs a lot. We know that piece of it for sure, and just being able to provide them with something that's made off of them. And I think that's the biggest thing is now people can use themselves as marketing, not necessarily NCAA using you as marketing. And I mean, there's just a lot of different ways that they can support themselves. Now, obviously, some people can
Yeah.
take advantage of it and they can go a different route in life and maybe not have like a backup plan as far as academics to go, but that's, I mean, their choice. And I think that's what it comes down to is now there's an option of now you have an opportunity to use the tool of your outreach on whatever platform of network you're on to support yourself. And then there's always like the fact is like there's nothing wrong with somebody choosing a way to go in life, and like there's now the opportunity for so much more that can be discussed along those lines, just because like this just opens up a lot of doors. That's really what it comes down to. And I think a lot of it is like, I mean, we've already seen guys already sign. I know your favorite college quarterback, Joe, Mr. Spencer Rattler, signed one with Raising Cane's, which I thought was very interesting. So
Yeah.
like, but like now he's got money coming in from like a from fast food, like that's just the way that he wants to live, and that's what his choice, and that's what I think it comes down to. But now being able to be provided the choice of now that you can do this, and like I know a couple friends of myself that have already jumped on the train of being able to support themselves. That's great. Like signing partnership deals, signing marketing deals, like that's fine. Like I'm totally cool with it. It just brings more choices to it. Now it's just really interesting to see. And I think one thing that's going to be super interesting, not trying to go too long in here in my monologue, but
Mhm.
one thing that's going to be interesting to me is now seeing the jumping as far as where people are going to school now is going to change. And I think especially with the transfer portal is going to
Yeah.
probably
Because the
explode.
schools play a big difference of like what your publicity can get.
Yeah,
Because
because
I
yeah,
know. Oh, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Brandon.
Oh, sorry. No,
Mhm.
I think we're going on like the same mind length here. Like the fact like now there's going to be people that are going to be looking at school based on marketability, not necessarily
Yeah.
their best fit on like there might be an opportunity for somebody, for example, you got a 4-star quarterback looking to go somewhere. They might become a fourth string quarterback at USC, not ever play, even though just because that's a better marketability for social media, and that's what they want to
Yeah.
support themselves
Yeah.
on.
Being out in LA and stuff, it's like someone might rather choose like I could get some like market like I could get free publicity if I go to Alabama instead of and fight for a roster spot between three people, and if I make it then like hey that's 40, 50, 60, 100,000, 200,000 more followers for me, and that's more money in my bank account, basically, rather than going to like a smaller D1 school where you get the playing time, where you have a better chance. No, I'm not saying that that's not going to happen where guys won't
Sure.
choose to like, or guys or girls won't choose to go to like where they'll get more playing time and stuff. But I think now it's like, hey, I'm a 4-star recruit coming out. Like I have 200,000 followers right now. I could get a million, 2 million followers if I go to this school, or I could maybe get like 400,000 if I go to this school. I think that's going to be a bigger decision now, where you're going to see a lot of high school athletes and a lot of like incoming college or college athletes now starting to get agents basically and trying to figure out what's best for them coming in their future.
Yeah. And the bottom line of this whole thing, and I guess that's the idea that everybody's around at this point, is the NCAA is not controlling athletes' images anymore. They're not profiting off of them anymore, which I think is what everybody wants, and I think for good reason, because obviously you don't
Which is
want
good.
anybody taking advantage of somebody else's marketability. So, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I guess the part of how it's gonna be regulated, because I think that there has to be a point where, like, just basing off of what we've seen already, I think there's a point where it could be regulated because it might get too wild enough to where there might be some questionable things happening with marketing or whatever. Like, there's so many opportunities now. It's questioning, are these all going to be legitimately free reign free reignable? Is that a word? Sure, we'll make it a word.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's so many different options now. Will it be regulated, or are we just gonna let everyone run wild with this? That's where
Yeah.
I'm gonna be really monitoring. But at the end of the day, I think it's a good thing to see now that athletes can
Mm-hmm.
provide themselves and support
Yeah.
in a way, and they can have more options to go with their choices as far as
Yeah.
being able to go out and be marketable as themselves rather than somebody else making it for them.
Yeah, well, we've already seen like from my last point is like we've already seen like where athletes have gone. I mean, Adrian Nunez, he's like a bat. He wasn't a starter on the Michigan basketball team. He was kind of like the maybe seventh, eighth man, but he has like I think 2 million followers on TikTok. And I saw it like the day that they were like, yeah, you can now make money off like your image and likeness. He made merch, and I think he made probably a good amount of money from it because it's pretty nice. So like now like that you can do that. I know that he's not going to be the only athlete to do that. And now like, athletes who have big YouTube channels with maybe 200, 300,000 subscribers, like they can monetize it now. They can make money off of ads. And it's definitely going to be interesting to see where everyone goes with it and what avenues are going to be maybe altered in the future and which ones are going to be kind of like slowed down, but like yeah, like you can't like do this or but you can do that and stuff like that. But nonetheless, it's cool to see where everyone's going with it right now, as to see where everyone's imagination is for what they can do to make money now.
Yeah, and one name I think that's going to be associated with this for a long time is I believe Daniel De La Hoya is going to be that guy. I mean, his name is quoted as destroying. He's the man on YouTube with I don't actually know how many
Hmm.
subscribers he has, but I mean, the
He
he
has like
was
a couple
he,
million.
yeah, he was the guy notably back in, I believe it
Yeah.
was 2017 or 2016, that was kicked off of the UC, or I shouldn't say kicked off. He was reported as violated from making money off of his YouTube channel as a UCF athlete, and he was the kicker on the football team. And he basically was told by the NCAA how to make a choice: YouTube channel or football. Like, you're gonna have to get rid of one or the other. And he ended up choosing YouTube, and he's doing really well for himself. And I mean,
Yeah,
once,
it's a good choice for him.
yeah, and I guess really now the scoreboard says destroying one, NCAA zero with this decision, and
Yeah.
he was
He
super
walked so
excited
all these
seeing that.
athletes could run.
Yeah, absolutely. So very interesting. But Joe, does that mean we need to start making MVSP merch, dude? I think that might
I
have to
guess
be.
so, dude.
Might have to do
Now
it.
that we got the go ahead, let's roll it out. We got
Let's roll with it already. We'll have to see what our corporate bosses think about that one. But don't forget to check
Yeah.
out the MVSP on Bulldog Radio, of course. Checking out all of our shot caller shows live as a podcast. Yeah, you heard that right. If you want to, maybe you just don't want to see our faces that day. That's fine. Whatever. You can listen to us on Spotify. That's another way that you can check out the show. But going into our Call Your Shot debate, we've got one based on this NIL conversation of which athlete would have made the most NIL profit as far as their marketability is concerned. I think there's 1,000 options here, Joe. And I think there's a lot of good ones, but I just want to hear the one that you think would have the most.
There's a lot that you could choose, but I think, in my opinion, who could have in the short span, I think you know where I'm going. In the short span where he was relevant and good is Johnny Manziel. He could have made millions, and I mean millions of dollars off his likeness just because of the Cash Money Man Manziel. Like if you made T-shirts with that, people would have bought it. Like if he trademarked that and made that like his own, he would have made so much money off of merch and everything. Like you could have put that on everything: T-shirts, mugs, like phone, like anything you wanted, you could put that on. Plus autographs. I mean, he told story. I mean, I guess it's not allegedly, but I guess it is now. Or like he would sign like 10,000 pieces of autographs and make like 3K or like 30K or something like that under the table. And it's like it's crazy to see how like it was so shamed upon back then, but now that like it's all good. But I don't know, there's so many more I could think of. I mean, you got like Zion, RJ Barrett, like I said earlier. I mean, now you got it's just crazy. Like, I mean, you could have done like Brian Bosworth back in the day with the mullet that he had. Like, you could have marketed off that. You could have done so many more. I mean, there's so many, but I'm just like blanking right now. What are yours, Brandon?
Yeah, you brought up Brian Bosworth, and he's related to the person that I was going to select, aka the guy that ran him over in the Seattle Kingdom, and that's Bo Jackson. If he would have had the ability to be profited back in the 80s at Auburn, money. This dude's hitting 500-foot bombs. 90.
If he came up with the bow nose at the time,
Bow nose would have exploded on the college circuit. And if you have never seen You Don't Know Bo, the 30 ESPN 30 for 30, I highly recommend it. It's my favorite 30 for 30.
Favorite. Yeah, it's
hands down.
Top 5.
Not even close. Like that whole story is absolutely incredible. Bo Jackson's marketability during that time. Oh my Lanta.
Superman, man.
And this was before he was even considering doing both sports. Like, this is back in college. Like, he was doing this, like, a lot of this crazy stuff. Now, obviously, he's remembered as the guy that was one of the greatest dual sport players of all time, arguably with Deion Sanders, who'd also be another one that would definitely be worth mentioning on that list. But
oh yeah,
obviously, like, he's a little bit in the past, so marketing was definitely different back then. I think Zion was going to be my second selection for obvious reason of how pretty much his media fame going into Duke just would have made him explode. So then obviously with all the deals that he's made already, pretty safe to assume he would have made a lot of them in college already with that opportunity. So there's a lot of great names, and I think
another one I was just thinking is JJ Redick. When he was hated on heavily at Duke, he would have made a lot of money. Like any player that was hated on that had an insane amount of hate, like Christian Laettner, Grayson Allen, basically any of those Duke guys, like they would have made top dollar for like any merch that they made, or if they like did like I don't know, if they went on like shows or something like that or signed autographs, so much money they could have made.
Yeah, the Bosworth scheme. Like, did you hear about the Bosworth, like the Bosworth Enterprises t-shirt scheme kind of thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of those guys could do that. And for the listeners that don't know what we're talking about, what happened while like with Brian Bosworth is like everybody started to hate him on the outside, and he literally made his own t-shirts that had like that fans bought because it said like we hate the Boz or whatever, and people would buy them because they hated him so much. And guess who's making all the money from it? Brian Bosworth. What? He's literally making money off of people hating him. And it was a pretty glorious plan, obviously, well thought out, because it ended up working out. But, like, just the fact that some people could do that. JJ Redick was, ironically, one of those guys. Laettner, obviously, probably the most hated man in college sports of all time, basically, by what we've heard and seen. So, I mean, I think there's so many other names we could throw in the hat. I think we definitely nailed a lot of them. And I think it's just going to be super interesting to see how this progresses over the upcoming years. Because, I mean, marketability's been skying through the roof. It's a lot easier to get popular now than it has been ever before. And I think it's only going to go up from here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be a new age of college sports. It's gonna be a new age of sports overall. So, very exciting to see what goes on in the near future.
For sure. But thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 5 in the books. You're truly Brandon and Joe on the call once again. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube with that subscription button if you like this episode for more coming up. If you want to see show highlights and more, go check out the MVSP on YouTube. You can check that out in the description below to hear myself and Joe Nagy's best bits and takes from the show, because they're definitely worthwhile, I would say. Right, Joe?
Oh, for sure. If you haven't seen them yet, check them out.
Yeah, you should. And Travis's too. We don't forget about Travis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we also gotta get Barrett on the show too. Barrett, shout out if you're listening. We need you on this show, dude.
Always.
So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Take care, everybody.